Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. So, millions of our fellow Americans are not working right now, and that is the state of the economy. But this got me thinking, is it possible that millions of job seekers are trying to get hired but not getting hired? I know that is the truth because I read all the comments on all of our videos. Welcome to this channel, everyone. This is the Ignition Time channel where every episode is focused on matters pertaining to the country, the economy, as well as our money. I work hard on this channel every single day and I'll continue to do it because I am like the Energizer Bunny. I'm always working, and every single every subscribe and every comment keeps me motivated. So if you think your like, subscribe, or comment doesn't matter, I assure you it does. Please click like, please subscribe, please enable notifications, and comment below. Here's the headline of an article on your screen from the Washington Post: Why millions of job seekers are not getting hired in the hot job market. Now, we do have a record number of job openings, but many firms actually continue to favor candidates with several years of experience, those who are available to work in the evenings or weekends, and a willingness to work in person. Folks, this is a fact. Americans are now seeking more pay, more flexibility, and remote options, but many companies are not providing those options. They continue to favor candidates who have experience, who can work evenings or weekends, or who can work in person. This is actually creating a very, very complicated economic recovery. And by the way, employers have been complaining for months that they have a hard time hiring workers. But folks, the challenge is that employers are actually being more and more demanding, and that's why people are not getting back to work. Here's a quote from Julia Pollack, who's a chief economist at ZipRecruiter. A lot of the interest from employers is not spread evenly across the labor pool. There are some people in very high demand, and there are some people who get no interest at all. Now, that is absolutely horrible. In fact, there's a growing preference for remote workers as far as companies are concerned. 55% of people on ZipRecruiter are looking for a job that would allow them to work from home. The vast majority said that they were concerned about workplace safety, or they had some child and family care needs, and essentially their preference was to work remotely instead of having to go to work. And a lot of people are actually feeling this because think about this. If you want to work remotely, your options are limited because in general, the ones who work remotely are the ones who have college degrees or higher, who have experience as managers, who essentially have a lot of experience with technology, and that actually makes things very difficult. Speaking of making things very difficult, here's an image on your screen that shows you the long-term unemployment, which remains high. Now, it has only been as high as this twice before. During the Great Recession, that is in 2008, 2009, and the early 90s. So now think about this for a second. Long-term unemployment, in other words, individuals who've been unemployed for 6 months or more, are suffering the most. In fact, African American and less educated Americans are disproportionately likely to be long-term unemployed, and white women with college degrees have also had unusually high numbers of long-term unemployment due to women who stopped working to care for children. Older Americans are facing additional struggles to get hired. And now, complicating all of this is the fact that many companies are actually using artificial intelligence and robots to sort through job applicants. And this automated process actually excludes people who are not a perfect fit for that particular job. In fact, according to a recent Harvard Business School study that you'll see on your screen right now, nearly half of employers say that they quickly rejected candidates who have not worked in the past 6 months. Think about that for a second. Why should you be penalized if you haven't worked over the past 6 months, if you were simply trying to take care of your own health, if you had other responsibilities, and if you simply wanted to protect yourself in this horrific pandemic? The truth is that actually works against you. In fact, the truth is many algorithms are designed to weed out applicants who are not a perfect fit. And there are many applications that are being submitted by qualified individuals, but these algorithms are actually preventing the companies from even considering these individuals. Now, many economists had hoped that as a direct result of the pandemic, employers would waive their normal requirements, would be much more considerate when hiring, would essentially make their screening techniques a little less stringent. But the fact is that hasn't occurred. Basically, employers have been raising pay, and in exchange for that, they want the best talent and they want the best candidates. In fact, what started to happen now is that employers are definitely getting desperate to hire. They want more individuals. They're willing to pay more. They want the best individuals, but they are not willing to be flexible. In other words, they're staying very firm with their expectations and they only want the best candidates. This actually is creating a lot of challenges for employees who are ready to take jobs but who are finding that they are not the perfect match. In fact, many job seekers say that they are looking for new careers, new opportunities because they want more flexibility or a different career path. And this further complicates the problem because it creates a mismatch between what the employer wants and what the employee wants to do. Now, at the same time, a lot of employers are struggling and they're trying to find employees who have the right amount of experience. In fact, according to Chris Hyams, who's the chief executive of JobSite Indeed, with all of these jobs and all this competition, why are employers being so picky? Part of that is that it just takes a long time for people to change the way they think. Now, folks, another thing that complicates this situation is that the location of the unemployed may not match with where the job openings are now. You might be willing to work, but what if the job is far away in a different town? And what if commuting is a problem? Folks, this is a challenge, and this is why many of our fellow Americans are struggling, despite the fact that they want to work. And this is the number one challenge why millions of our fellow Americans are not able to get back to work, even though the job market is indeed booming and there are a lot of jobs available, because the employers who are now ready to hire are saying, hey, if I'm going to pay more, I want the best candidate. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. Please click like, please subscribe, please enable notifications. This is my Twitter feed. You'll be able to keep up with all the latest news stories on Twitter. My Twitter handle is ignition_time. That's ignition_time. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.